I mean, when I was younger, my dad helped me. Like, my dad let me disassemble computers, and also he let me use computers from a young age. So that really helped me a lot.
Alright, so put this on.
Oh yeah, I gotta put
Yeah, that's on.
Hold on, I gotta take off this sweater because this shit is hot as balls in here.
Let's go sound bar.
Oh man.
You're still fit, bro. You're still good.
Surprisingly, I'm off creatine too. I'm off creatine. So
You're on creatine?
I was always. Yeah.
Were you ever on gear?
No, never.
Okay.
No. The thing about gear is, I actually research gear a lot. Like, I do read actively about it, and I have considered it many times. It's very damaging to your health. It's to the point where it's not worth it unless you have potential of being Olympia.
Put it on. Do you hear me?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? You are number 4. How about now? Do you hear
There
me?
you go. Now I hear
Do
you.
me? Do you hear yourself?
Hello? Yeah, I do. Do I have to tighten this? Because this seems loose.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it? Okay.
Yeah, if it breaks, it breaks.
If it breaks, it breaks. How close do I have to be to the mic?
However close you want to be. So however you hear yourself, I can also increase the input.
Hello.
So
I just don't know what quality you want. So, like, I don't know if... just talk, right?
Just
Okay.
talk.
As
Just
long as
have
I'm
fun.
audible. Okay.
Forget this is here. It's like
As long as I'm audible.
Yeah, as long as you're audible,
I got you.
just have fun with it. That's
Gotcha.
why I tell people. I might just start bringing whiskey in here.
Sure, if they let you. I mean, why not?
I mean, they won't know.
Maybe it'll smell.
I just have whiskey that I've been meaning to get rid of.
Oh, man.
All right, so I do have to make a disclaimer.
So it'll probably be a short episode.
Oh yeah, probably by far the shortest. Let's do bird guess. But yeah, literally just
This is where the IV went. It's finally healed. Oh, I forgot to mention also, to add on to the bullcrap that was happening, do you know what happened? So the nurse, you know when you put a needle into your vein, you have to go quick?
Yeah.
She was slow. Dude, my blood was up there. Because it's an artery, so it's like really high pressure. Dude, she had to stand on the stool to clean it, bro. It was crazy. Like, it was all over the wall, and my arm, like I have a picture of my arm. Like, bro, my whole arm, dude, it looked like she cut off my arm.
She's definitely a COVID nurse.
Like, dude, this is how my arm, I looked at my arm, and I was like, what the fuck happened? And this was after they cleaned it, too, because they couldn't take us under the tape. But it's like, bro.
That's so nasty.
Yeah, like, you can see the remnants here. This is the rest of there was blood here and everything, and she had to clean it off. Because I was looking away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, it was just so much shit going on. So I was like this. And then she was like, oh. I was like, oh, fuck. I'm not looking. I'm not going to look. Right? And then I, like, looked to my right. I'm like, there's fucking blood everywhere. I'm like, oh, my God.
I'm guessing she was very young. Probably like a fresh grad or her
No,
intern.
she was like maybe. Actually, yeah. She probably was. Like, maybe like mid-20s.
Mid-20s?
Yeah.
Because I remember I was I was doing a blood test, and the nurse, she was like taking a minute to find my artery. I'm like, do you know what you're doing?
It's like right there, bro.
I'm like, it's a lot right there, and she looks like an old woman, so I assume, and she's like, no, it's just sometimes takes time to find. In my mind, I'm like, I'm not coming back again. Fuck this place. But yeah, so all right, guess we're starting. Cool. This podcast may contain subjects or topics that may be offensive or insensitive in nature, or subjects of coarse language and stories should be considered as banter, and therefore this podcast should not be listened to. If you hear something that you do not like, feel free to turn this podcast off and go about your day. All right, so welcome to episode 3 of Shangway or No Ways podcast. I have my guest, Patrick.
Hey, what's up?
So, let's see. Oh, we've been talking a lot since before this.
Yeah. We got a lot done, so probably answer every question.
I mean, honestly, just your mindset, right? That's the main thing why you're on this show, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a mindset that lets you see beyond what most people our age range can see, and frankly, beyond what most people can see.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big statement because, you know, there's so many people in this world, but like, if we're talking in terms of like growth, I think it's important to think. I mean, it's very cliche to say this, but like I think it's very important that you think outside the box. Like, I mean, what do I mean by outside the box? Like, well, let's think of like what's the current box and what we just talked about earlier, like the education system. Like, what that's
Yeah.
the box right now, right? Like, the box is I'm going from K to 12, sorry, and then I go to college, I get a job, blah blah blah. That's the current box, and I mean, is it wrong? Like, that depends on the individual, right? Some people want to go down that route, some people don't. Now, when you think outside the box, it's like, how about I don't go to college, right? Like, how about I just finish high school and I start working on a business, right? And now, whatever the business is, if you genuinely believe in it and you have the support for it and the capabilities for it, it's like, go there. And now you're outside the box, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you're thinking also other things like, okay, I'm in high school, but like I'm selling people things. It's like, dude, you're in high. Like a lot, like people can't even fathom. Like when they see a high schooler like making money by like selling a lot of crap. Like I've heard so many stories about that type of stuff.
Those
Like
candy dealers and those drug
yeah,
dealers.
yeah. I mean, even like small things like candy. I mean, hell, like even drug dealers. Really, like there are high schoolers who hustle like selling drugs.
They
like,
know
that's
more about
insane.
business than businessmen.
Yeah,
they
I
teach
mean-
in business school.
Yeah, like that shit's insane. Like it's like. You have high schoolers selling drugs and like actually making a lot of money. Like that's it's just interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, of course, I don't know the whole world behind.
We're not
it.
promoting
I'm not
drugs.
promoting drugs. I'm not
But
saying that.
what we're saying is that drug dealers are good businessmen.
Yeah, like I mean, because they kind of have to, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you wouldn't be a drug dealer if you were a bad one, right? The same. I mean, to put it to go to the legal world, like it was like you can. I've heard a lot of high schoolers who do drop shipping, for example, right?
Okay.
Like just simply sell products, just do research on products, and then just sell them without needing inventory. Like I heard stories about that, and like high schoolers make money with that. So I'm just using high school as an example because that's not something that a lot of people really think that people in high school have potential. It's like everyone has potential.
Yeah, it depends on what you do. Like, for example, I remember when I graduated high school, I straight up approached my parents and, hey, look, I don't want to go to college. I am not, like, I'm a bright kid. I am not a person is willing to sit down in a lecture hall, listen to professor talk bull crap when I can get the information for free online and learn it better on my own time. And they were like, no, you have to go, putting that pressure, like that immigrant mindset pressure on. And that works in the old school. Like, back in their times, that works pretty well. The ROI of college makes sense. You go to college, you get a job, you get a mortgage, you get a house. You pay off that mortgage, and by the time you're 50, you can retire and live comfortably. Right?
Yeah.
As of right now, if you follow that process, you will be, by the time you're 50, you'll still be in debt. Right? And wouldn't be positive debt. It was fucking shitty debt.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's actually like the key word that you just mentioned was online.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the reason why the old school mentality and the new school mentality is just separated.
But what I realized is that, at least for like the 2 years that I've been working with people, I've been working with a lot of people who are older, right? So in the real estate business, most people are within their late 20s to early 40s. That's the age of the people that I'm working with. So these are my coworkers. I just talk to them. I see what their mindset is. I see how they got up to it. Most of them has worked multiple, like some kind of careers beforehand. And they all understand that the idea of working for someone just doesn't work, right? You have to have multiple incomes. As of right now, with the inflation, prices of everything, you need to have multiple incomes regardless. And secondly, you need to have income that you're not actively trading your time for, right? So I don't mind if I get 10% of a business that I spend no time on, because that's the most pure definition of passive income. Passive income is not the idea of you constantly on your laptop looking at this and making money when you're making money that
That's
way.
active income.
That's active
Yeah.
income. But that's the thing that most people don't understand. And it's also, when you work for these companies, they only care about the bottom line. They don't care about you as a human. I had this broker. He told me he looked at people as numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I do to kind of play devil's advocate here. I do agree. A lot of big companies do this. However, I do think that the smaller companies do tend to, like smaller businesses, they do tend to actually be more of like community based. I mean, because they kind of have to,
They don't
right?
have a
Like they're
choice.
like, yeah, like I mean, it's like 5 people in a business, Like I prefer working at those kinds of companies because they don't really treat you like a number there, right? Like it's because without you, I mean, hell, you make an impact.
Yeah.
I feel like the reason why you're treated like a number in a lot of these big companies is because your contributions doesn't push the needle as much as the entire company as a whole. Like, you need teams to push the needle is what I'm trying to say. When you work at a smaller company, you might be throwing more work your way, but you're actually doing something. Like, what you're doing is actually affecting the outcome of the business.
Okay.
Like, to put it in a very simple way, like, let's just say you're dealing with a small business, 4 people, and they want to make a new app, right? For context, I'm in the tech field, so a lot of analogies that I use is probably going to be related to programming, software engineering.
So a little bit
all that
about
stuff.
Patrick. He's been coding since he's 2 years old. He has
7th grade, but might as well be.
He's pretty much the human version of Brainiac in terms of tech whiz and everything.
No, I appreciate it. I've been programming since 7th grade.
Also graduated 3 years early in college.
2 years.
2 years early.
Yeah. So okay. So let me first finish the first thought, and then I'll expand on that. So so what I was saying is, like, with a small business, you have 3 people. None of them are really experienced in terms of technology. They hire a 4th guy on board. Let's say it's me, and they need to make an app, right? They need to create an app. They want to put on an app store. I don't know. Let's just say they wanted some kind of delivery business for their, I don't know, bodega. Like, they want to delivery.
DoorDash.
Let's just say DoorDash for bodega. Bodega Dash.
Bodega
Dash right there. So, naturally, no one there has the capabilities of making that, right? So they hire the 4th guy, being me, and now you have a developer. And now when you notice, like, anything that I do related to this app, it's like I'm actually pushing the needle. Like, because if I wasn't doing anything nothing would get done. Now, don't get me wrong. I think you need a team for this kind of thing because it's a huge thing. But hell, even let's just say you have a team, right? Let's just say they hire you to be their manager. So you go hire the 4 guys. Every single person that's actually working on this app is going to push the needle because they're in charge of one part of this. And without them, that won't get done, right? Now let's switch over to a huge company like Facebook or now Meta or Netflix or whatever. They have like hundreds of teams alone. And in those teams, you have certain like individuals, and it could be myself, for example. I'm in one of hundreds of teams. Each team, let's say, has 10 people, right? At least. Like, me making changes for even a week to the code is probably not going to push the needle as much as me working in a small team of 4 working on an app for a small business. Now, like, this is already obvious things. Like, yes, we know this. But ultimately, this depends on how the programmer feels. I mean, some people generally prefer being in that big corporate environment, right?
Yeah.
I noticed a lot of people that I know that want to be in that field are people who just kind of want, like, laid back work. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to say the whole work is laid back. You still do thinking and all that stuff, but
it's not as aggressive.
Yeah, you're mostly told what to do. You're mostly told what to do. Yeah, aggression is the perfect word there. Like, you're mostly told what to do. I mean, don't get me wrong. You still have to do things on your own and provide suggestions and things, but they're usually just tweaks, right? I mean, think about it. It's an established product already.
Yeah.
So how much more can you build off of it unless they assign you to a new team working on a new product, right?
What's the term? Software. You just work on software updates most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time it's just little tweaks. Yeah, like, okay, I see, like, this little button's like off center. It's like, all right, let me go fix that.
Yeah.
Some people want easy work like that, right? And I mean, I'm not gonna like say that work. Let's just say Facebook is that easy. No. There's a reason why they hire like top like high end engineers, right? They do a lot of things. Google as well. But what I'm trying to get at is
it's a mindset.
Yeah, in a smaller business, it's that they're starting off and you are helping them roll the ball. Now with a established product, you could only add so much to something that's already working so well, So to go back to what you said with treating the people like numbers, I think that really just ultimately depends on companies. I don't think it's fair to assume every company's like that, right? Because they're not, right? Like you could have like I mentioned earlier with the smaller businesses, like every single person really does matter. And of course they want to cherish that relationship, right? Like if you're only working with 4 people, you want to at least be on good terms with everyone, and not just treat them like a number at least. Versus a corporate, which most owners of corporations don't even know the people who are working in their company because of how many people they have hired, You think Mark Zuckerberg knows, like, if I worked at Facebook, do you think Mark Zuckerberg would know who I am? Like, no, like, even though he owns the company, because there's just so many people working, it's kind of hard to build a relationship with so many people. Yeah, and so to jump back to, like, the other tangent that we were going to go to, like, with my history, So the only, I think one thing about me, I do think I do really, really well is I take advantage of situations I'm in. You can put me in a very bad situation, and I think I can make like literally the most you can use out of it. So I started college in 2019, so right before COVID. The first semester I took was all in person, all that stuff. I don't want to get into how bad it was. I mean, I don't want to say bad because like I didn't have a bad experience, but
We didn't come in the best time.
yeah,
We had one proper semester before COVID hit.
yeah. I
Let's
mean,
put it
that
in
was
context.
like that's the funny part because COVID is actually what made my college experience fun.
Really?
Yeah, I enjoyed my college experience because of COVID, right? Now, of course, I'm not saying I like COVID,
Okay.
but what I am saying is I made use of what happened with COVID, right? So to get back to the first semester, the reason why I say I didn't like my first semester is I hate in person. That's just me, though. I know most of the people that I know, in fact, prefer in person because they can't learn otherwise. I hate in person. Dude, I have to commute an hour to and an hour from. I get home at like 8 p.m. and you know how the subways are in New York at 8 p.m. So there's that too. It's just like not enjoyable. I mean, hell, it was in the winter too. It's just like I don't want to like do this stuff, right? I'm commuting to two. Not to mention, I still remember because it's ingrained in my head.
You went to Hunter, right?
Yeah, Hunter.
That's
Hunter
in
College.
Midtown?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, okay.
So, like, to every Tuesday, I had a 45-minute class, but I had a 2-hour commute. It's just stupid.
Just for 40
Not
minutes.
to mention, this is an intro to Python class, right? This is something I learned when I mentioned I was in 12th grade. Sorry, 7th grade, 12 years old.
12 years
Yeah,
old,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. 7th grade, I learned this crap, right? Now, I'm not saying, oh, everyone should have learned it. No, no, no. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is,
You
like,
didn't need it.
yeah, I didn't need it, and I wasn't. Okay, technically, I was given an out because I should have taken a test out. So I'm not going to, bash Hunter for doing all this stuff because I did. I am gonna bash that they didn't advertise it enough. That's what I'm gonna say. But that's something else.
But how else will they make money if you can just opt out all their classes?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no, they still force you to take credits to like substitute for that. So
Really?
yeah. So
That's-
even if you get
that's
tested
annoying.
out. Yeah, it is what it is. But what I was trying to get at is 2-hour commute for a 45-minute class that I don't learn I don't learn much in because I've already have experience in most of the things. So, and I have attendance. By the way, this is the biggest thing that I hate about college. Attendance is mandatory.
That's so stupid.
I'm giving you my money and you are still like gonna fail me because I don't show up.
That's how I knew a class was bullshit. If attendance matters, I'm like, I'm not gonna learn jack shit.
That's
in this
actually a good
class.
point because I noticed the classes that were my hardest classes, attendance wasn't mandatory.
because
If you don't show up, then you're just gonna fail.
That's
like,
on you.
it.
They know you're gonna fail, but the classes that are just for, teachers with professors with tenure.
So that is a good point. I
need-
didn't think of it
they
that
need
way.
something like that. No, think
Yeah.
about it. Like I remember my first semester of college.
Even high school, I'll be honest. Like I didn't show up to some of my AP classes,
and you still
and there were
passed.
like AP chemistry. Like she was like, "Oh, you'll just fail. Like I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like sometimes I wouldn't show up because I was sick or whatever, and I still studied my own time, and I was fine, and she was okay with it.
Same thing with calculus. I just at some point, the only reason why I went is because my next period of class I needed to graduate.
Yeah.
So I was just in the class dicking around, reading books, sleeping, just doing jack shit, and she knew that I didn't need it. I told her straight up, like, look, I'll be frank. I took this last semester, and I know everything about it already. But yeah, that's the thing. I remember my first semester of English class. It was an 8 a.m. class, and they took attendance. Back then, I was not on my. Let's just say I was not a responsible man. I was drinking, partying, smoking weed. College stuff. Failed that class, obviously. I retook it during the COVID times, and it was the most easiest class ever. Like every paper, I waited till like an hour before it was due. I just did it right then and there. I got an A.
I did notice that with COVID. So when I met, okay, so so then the semester after that, after my first semester, literally my second semester, in person for like a month, COVID hit, everything goes online. So this is the part where, why did I enjoy school during COVID times? So this part actually separated
think
the
also
bullshit classes.
Fits your personality too more.
It does, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm 100% a self-learner. I prefer learning on my own I mean, of course, I will learn in a classroom setting, but I'll learn so much more on my own. I mean, hell, even in high school, like when I was in calc, I wasn't even listening to the teacher. I had a huge stack of like every single exam from 1970 something, and I was just solving
you
on
did
my
the
own.
work. That's what I did.
I
yeah.
didn't even listen to the teacher, and I learned everything that she taught, right? She was okay with it, which was, I'm really thankful for that. Like, there's a lot of teachers who would say, put that away, listen to me, right?
Bro, Gally, there were times when Gally just sat there in complete silence. And I was like, and I got bored when I got up and just picked up the textbook. He yelled at me. He said, put that back. I'm like, I'm
That's
sorry.
what I'm saying. Like, I don't like that, but, I'm very thankful
what it
that,
is.
I'm very thankful that my teacher actually allowed me to, actually study my own.
No, she's cool.
Yeah, I really like her. So, my second semester, like you mentioned, just fits my whole personality. I prefer learning my own and all that stuff. I still have a social life because I am going to gym. I mean, I guess during COVID I wasn't, but I'm talking online. But the classes that were, I guess, quote unquote bullshit, saying bullshit. What do I consider bullshit classes? I'm a computer science major. Why do I have to learn about rocks and geology? Like, I'm not bashing geology. Like, if you want to learn geology, do it. Why are you pushing that on me when I'm trying to learn about programming? I want to become a better programmer. I want to actually learn computer science. But no, like I'd rather take an elective that maybe I'll learn about machine learning. No. You're gonna learn geology, right? Not to mention my school, like on top of all that, the cherry on top, they actually force you to take a foreign language. I think it's important that people learn foreign languages because it's just just cool.
But it should be forced upon.
Yeah, don't like force me to pay for Spanish classes, which I could, by the way, download Duolingo, not sponsored, and
Not sponsored yet.
finish it. And earlier than I could finish school, and I'll learn more too. You know what I mean? Hell, I'll go and I'll speak to a lot of Spanish people. I'll learn Spanish.
Yeah,
There's so many better ways of learning it than just going to school. Don't get me wrong. If you don't know where to start, you don't know what you're doing, you're not savvy. Let's say tech savvy. So you, for example, don't know how to actually use Google to learn everything. I understand. School could be a good starting place for a lot of people. But what I'm trying to get at, well, this is where we come into, tell people, no, there's much better ways. But, they also give the foreign language thing. But the thing is, I actually got that exempt because I went to Saturday school for so long to learn Polish. So they actually let me exempt it. Thank God for that. But I have one friend, actually. He should have already graduated last month. Why can't he graduate? Because he has to finish Chinese. He's Chinese.
Oh, it's even better.
I mean, he didn't. Yeah, I don't know how much he knows Chinese. Of course, I'm not one to say how much I know. But still,
that's not part of his major.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's not part of his major. And if he wanted to learn on his own time, you don't think he can't graduate because this semester currently he's taking one class.
Oh, that's annoying.
And that one class is Chinese, and it's in person too. So I feel like there's much better uses of your time because it's not.
And you're paying all that money and you're investing all that
that's
time
the thing
out
too.
of your day.
I mean, of course, I'm very glad that a lot of people do have financial aid here. Financial aid is kind of given left and right to a lot of people here, so at least
depends.
it is free. It depends. I wasn't given any financial aid at all. Yeah. So, but it's still nice that a lot of people do get it. So people do have free education here, which is good. But
free education is not always good education.
It's better than no education, I think.
I agree.
Actually, that could, even that's controversial, right? Because some people can actually learn the wrong things. And the wrong is also again subjective, but
I think it depends on who you're talking to. There should be a baseline of
it's
education.
so dependent on so many factors.
The most baseline thing that everybody should know is how to speak and write and communicate. But what people don't teach, well, before I die, I've decided this a long time ago. When I'm 60, 70 years old, and I have that level of money, before I die, I'm going to open a school. I'm going to teach people proper things that they need in life.
Yeah, that's what's up.
In the most ideal
awesome.
world, I don't charge tuition, but if I have to just keep the lights up, I'll fucking make it as low as possible.
I mean, think of private schools, right? Like, how are they running up? It's, private schools, you pay for that education, and it has to be good. Otherwise, they wouldn't make. I mean, the thing is,
I met private school kids in Buffalo. They were smart because they were given the college level stuff earlier. But I wouldn't say they were actually taught real life skills. Like the school I want to open, I'm going to teach you how to communicate, how to deal with your emotions, how to deal with your trauma, how to deal with taxes.
I see what you mean.
You know what I mean?
I thought you meant quality of education, comparison to public education.
No, proper education.
I know what you mean.
Education that actually, people, you memorize the quadratic formula, but you don't know how to do your taxes.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's not a lot of how do I say this? Because taxes, you can't put a subject on it. Mm-hmm. So I feel like what schools do is they just teach you subjects. And I think I don't even think it's the fact that they're doing a bad job with it. I just think it's the fact that it's never evolved. I just think that's what it is.
Oh yeah.
It's been the same for so long. Like, I mean, think of it. Like, how many? Like, it just recently started adding computer science in schools, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's 2023.
We spoke about this, yeah.
Yeah, like it's 2023.
But
They just
even the
recently
computer
started adding
science that they do add, it's an AP.
it's in the beginning. It's just the beginning. And yeah, like you mentioned, it is AP. It's not part of the curriculum. And I mean, of course I have a bias, right? Like I want
Yeah.
everyone to learn it. It's like no. Like, it's not a crucial skill to learn programming, but I think it's
think it's
crucial that you at
good to
least
have an idea.
advertise it. Like
Yeah.
at least mention that it exists because I know I would have taken it if I was younger. Like 100% I would have taken it. And I know a lot of people would have taken it as well. I mean, we'd have a robotics club at least. That was pretty cool. Robotics is probably the closest you'll get.
I didn't even know about that. I would have
Really?
That
Robotics
seems
club?
fun.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of schools are robotics club. That's the closest you'll go to computer science. But here's the thing. It's a club that has to be organized and maintained by somebody on the side, right? It's like, why isn't this like, why can't there just be like an elective class for programming? I don't know.
It's the Common Core, bro.
Oh God, I'm gonna start with that. But like, you know how it is. So to get back on track, my second semester with COVID, that's what I was trying to say. Like, it separated the bullshit from the non-bullshit. Now, what do I mean by that? Dude, I took Calc 2. I learned everything in a week or two.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Okay, learn everything. Did I master it? Of course, you're not gonna master it in a week or two. And hell, you might not even become intermediate in a week or two. But all the things I needed to know to pass the exam, which is a whole nother story. All the things I needed to know to pass the exam, learned it in a week or two. Why? Because he just gave me all the whole syllabus, and he gave me all the homeworks, and he gave me all the textbooks. All right, guys, you guys just do this. Next time we'll meet is the test. So he just stopped. He stopped showing up to class. He didn't even say his bad. He just stopped showing up. I respect
awesome,
him.
yeah.
I love him so much. But the exams, he gave us 2 weeks to do them. So it was easy in the sense that we had a lot of time.
Yeah.
But you know what's really cool? 2 weeks to do an exam. We didn't have the time pressure, and we didn't even have the pressure to go into class because he just gave this to us, right? Dude, I don't think I've ever learned math so quickly before. Maybe that's just the way I learn things.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, I obliterated that test. I didn't even cheat for it. I literally during COVID, I always wanted to cheat on exams in person. Online, I almost never cheated. Maybe like to double check.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, don't withdraw my degree. But maybe like double check my answers. But most of the time, like even then, like I didn't even have to like change it much. It's like I learned so much. Calc 3 the next year because COVID was on. I think they're still doing online. I'll be honest, occasionally.
Hybrid now, I believe.
Yeah, they're starting to come back. But 2021, which is my last year.
That was still COVID.
That was still COVID. Yeah, so that was Calc 3 for me. I took Calc 3. I learned so much, dude. I don't think I would have ever learned that in person. I'll be honest, because I wouldn't have been able to pay attention. I mean,
it's also you need it for what you do.
Nah, it depends. Not really. I mean,
No?
it depends on what I'm doing. If I'm getting into machine learning, AI, like is ChatGPT, that field. ChatGPT is like the easiest thing to say to everyone. Just the field of AI machine learning, I do need to know a lot of math, especially linear algebra. But like if you're doing web development, not really. You don't. I mean, you need to know how code works, how to make things efficient.
Have you ever gotten a chance to work with someone in your field? Well, that's already in your field already.
What do you mean?
Like, for example, someone who's where you are, but 20 years in the future. Like yourself in the future.
Not 20 years in the future. No.
Well,
I haven't
X
been
amount
able
of
to.
time, 5 years. Someone who's in the field.
Yeah,
already.
one guy. I mean, I wouldn't say work, but I would say spoke with a lot.
The guy from the gym?
Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely him. He does have a lot more experience than I in terms of working at a company and things.
But what do you say your time with him? Just even having a simple conversation, you learn
Oh,
more.
dude, I learned
more
so
in
much.
school.
Easily.
That's the point that I want to make. I've been a dropper for 2 years now. It's honestly the best decision I've ever made. I've learned so much within the past 2 years. Like mostly business related stuff. I know how to properly invest. I know what to invest in. Right? But it's just not even that now. I'm just missing the capital or just the means. And I figured out the means. But in that process, I would never learn this in school.
Yeah, I mean, think of it this way, like exactly what you mentioned earlier with the whole taxes thing. Like, I left college without ever. I mean, of course, on my own time I learned it, but like, no time was I ever learned about taxes and stuff. And hell, I'll be honest with you, even then, they kind of do it for you if you're an employee. If you think about it.
Not from what my industry.
Oh well, it depends.
In the real estate.
Yeah, I
industry,
mean,
they'll do
if you're commission based, there's different taxations, But a lot of companies, like when I worked at Starbucks briefly. They just do all your taxes for you, right?
That's
Because
nice.
because they take the taxes out. That's just the wages, and they take the taxes out of your paycheck already, and they just pay you the rest.
Mhm.
So if you want to argue, maybe if
I-
if a lot of Robert Kiyosaki and Rich Dad Poor Dad, he talks a lot about like schools just are made to make employees, right?
They
So
are.
maybe that's why they don't teach you taxes, right? It's
They're
like
not
you don't
gonna
need
te-
to worry about it. We'll do it for you. You know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
They-
Like
They're not going to teach you anything that's going to propel you more forward. You have to have that initial drive inside you.
yeah,
Like the reason why you and I can have this conversation is because I believe it's genetic.
maybe.
That's why I
possible.
truly believe it's genetic. You and I are like, we have this genetic within us that constantly makes us want to push ourselves better.
My dad's a very curious person, and he always wants to. He's always out there learning things. So I definitely get that from him.
And
So
my
that could be possible.
my father essentially is super genius who's extremely ambitious.
Yeah, so that it could definitely be a genetic thing. Who knows? But one thing I am gonna
But
say,
not in
yeah,
terms
what?
of intellect, but ambition.
Yes, ambition.
Ambition is genetic.
Yeah, I mean, you know that quote where it's like hard work beats talent that doesn't do anything, right?
Yeah.
You know that I agree with that. I do
But
think that's
The
the
rest
case.
of the quote is talent with hard work overcomes everything.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, how like
We have talent, right?
I
Now
mean-
we apply the hard work and also direction. Direction is very important.
direction is important. I do agree.
I was reading I finished reading Atomic Habits a couple months
Great
back.
book,
and-
beautiful book.
Oh yeah, fantastic book. Atomic Habits, not sponsored. Everybody should get it. But even the knowledge that they use is that if you are on a plane going in one direction and your goal is New York, let's say LA to New York, if you're even off by like 3 degrees in that time frame, you'll be in
It
Florida,
scales. Yeah,
It scales.
It scales.
right? And that's why I realized not a lot of people are given direction, especially young men. Most of my audience I'm targeting is young men.
Mm-hmm.
Right, young men, young people in general, aren't given the proper direction, right? And I believe it's the idea of a lot of people with the older generation have this scarcity mindset, like there's not enough to go around, right? I have to hoard everything for myself, right? That's why 20% of people make 80% of the income, right? It just doesn't make no sense. Like, okay, cool, but if you think about that, like for example, New York City, it's a multi-trillion dollar city, right? Any random luxury building that's over 25 stories is probably worth 800 million or maybe a billion depending on the finishes, right? But you have people the statistics is fucking stupid. You have people who still live below the poverty line commuting to work every day from East New York, Brownsville, and then you have people who are multi-millionaires like nothing. 1 in 10 people in New York City live below the poverty line. 1 in 25 are making at least 7 figures.
Direction. Like, actually, I forgot where I got this from recently, but I just recently read about this or listened to it. I really don't remember where I got it from, but it's exactly what you just mentioned in terms of direction. You know, like you go to some like grocery stores, like just grocery stores. You know, you go to some minimum wage jobs. Some guys are busting their asses off. Like I have never seen somebody work so hard in my life. Now imagine if they put all of that hard work into stuff, given if they obviously if they could. Imagine they direct that somewhere to like learning a new skill that'll like propel them like way past where they currently are. Of course, given a lot of people aren't in situations where they could, right? I mean, what are the situations? I don't know, but
I've heard stories.
there's always like there's always a I forgot what's the word, like there's always a
barrier.
It's not barrier, edge cases. That's the way I'd put it in computer science
Say
terms.
that again?
Edge cases, like extra, like
I don't know what that means.
oh man, that's what's the word, dude? Now I have to know the word.
Define it.
There's always like a 5% amount of people that deal with these issues. There's always like a 1%, like a small amount.
Oh,
Outliers.
minority.
Okay, there you go.
Outliers.
Yeah, there's always gonna be outlying situations where like, okay, I can't do this stuff, right? Like I can't just I'm a really hard worker. I'm working at, in my case, it was Starbucks. Like I can't really, leave because I need this money, et cetera, et cetera. Like I
Yeah.
understand. Like that's the situation as well. But there's also a lot of situations where people are doing this and they are in situations where they could leave, take like a few months off. I mean, live below their means, save enough so that way they could take 3 months off or whatever, learn a new skill in that time, and then maybe find a better job with that skill, or sell products or whatever the case is, or actually use that skill that you
For
just learned.
self-development or towards business.
Yeah, Okay, so education is actually like there's one of the most valuable things in my life that is education.
I agree.
Now,
As a dropout, I would say education
yes,
is highly
education is like ridiculously important. Like being able to learn something new, it's like, I mean, that's what makes us like humans. Like, I mean, to be able to learn and actually use what we learn to make our lives better. Now, education, most often people associate
important
with
school.
the system,
Yeah.
right? Now, the education and the educational system are two different things. Now, I'm not going to completely bash the system because I'm not going to lie, a lot of private schools actually do provide really good schooling and also connections. Mostly the latter, I'm
The
not going to lie.
connections depend on where you go.
Exactly. So that is completely dependent on where you go. Like, of course, if you go to Harvard, you're probably gonna have really good connections there, right?
Yeah,
And
probably-
they also they pay the teachers. I don't know how much they pay the teachers, so I'm not gonna make assumptions, but like, they have better classes than a lot of schools would,
and also
that's
they
because
have
of
a
the
level of
funding.
prestige with just by the status in itself.
Yeah. So why is that? Well, the reason why I think private institutions there's a chance. Of course, I don't know everything, but why private institutions might be better at teaching things is because there's a monetary incentive now.
Yeah.
There's a monetary incentive now. If they don't do good teaching, the other schools are just going to overtake them. That's capitalism. So that's private schools is pretty much the capitalistic way of the education system, right? That's the way I could see it.
If you want to talk about capitalism, it becomes a very touchy subject.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the education system. I would even argue neighborhoods.
Yeah, I mean that's just I mean, of course, capitalism is.
For example, like where I grew up, right? I'm going to use that as an example. The education system, standard public school, but it's just that the environment that they're in the neighborhoods, they probably lobby money to zone them down.
Interesting.
Meaning that you can't build X amount of floors, you can't have this and that for whatever reason.
Or maybe there isn't rather than paying money to zone them down, maybe there just isn't as much funding allocated to those regions to develop them. I feel like that's more so the situation.
Well, lobbying is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
like-
I mean, I don't know much about politics. I don't follow that.
I
so-
don't either, but I've listened to stories. Like for example,
Yeah.
my father lost probably one of the biggest contracts in his life just because of his race.
I remember you told
like-
me about this.
This everything plays a factor, whatever we like to say, or not your race, your gender, even your age, the way your level of attractiveness, everything.
Yeah, I mean everything. I mean first impressions are big things. I mean just in general impressions.
Yeah, I mean, when we first met, the fact that we talked about entrepreneurship in the gym, I think mostly in the gym for 3 hours.
Yeah.
I really solidified okay, I like this guy. I'm gonna actively try to keep this guy to my life.
Yeah.
Because I see myself in him.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of people that actually, do that. I mean, I have 3 spheres of life. I have 3 spheres in my life, and it's really just all things tech, finance, personal finance specifically, and fitness. Those are the 3 things that I concentrate on in my life. Nothing that I do is outside of those spheres. Everything that I do in my life, start to end, so far, has been in those 3 spheres.
Really?
Everything
Okay.
I do is associated with that to some degree. It's always going to be associated
Why
with
not expand?
What do you mean by expand?
So,
Like a 4th sphere?
it just expands. Be open to try other things.
Well, what do you mean by that?
For example, if you talk I'm just thinking about how I would phrase it in my point of view. My spheres are just entrepreneurship, the creative arts now.
Well, it could be the way, it could be how, because I use those 3 spheres very loosely.
Okay.
So for me, entrepreneurship is personal finance. It's in
Okay.
that sphere. They're in the similar sphere.
I mean, would you be open to others, traveling, for example,
Well, for what reason?
for leisure?
Yes, I am open to traveling. Now, that's not in those spheres, but I'm not going to lie. I'm probably still going to program if I travel because I could. I have a laptop with me.
I mean, I think that's just.
But I feel like traveling is interesting because traveling isn't. you kind of can't categorize that there because if you think about it, if I travel, I could
Mhm.
just do fitness. I could just go to a gym and,
Yeah.
and let's say if I go to Canada, I'm going to Canada actually in March.
Nice.
If I go to Canada, I'll just go to the gym there. You know that's
Yeah.
I still so it's like this. It's not. I don't think that's really a sphere thing because I could still enact my spheres in a different location. That's really all it is. But yeah, I try to travel twice a year.
Okay.
Um,
That's good.
yeah, it's definitely not an excuse to make use of my credit card, but
It's
it was initially actually. But
do it.
after traveling 3 times this year, I was like,
You learn so much.
I need to do more. I really need to do more of this stuff. Traveling's awesome, and it's like it doesn't blow the bank completely. Like I'm not like tossing 10K on a.
If you're smart
trip.
about it, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I was not smart
Yeah, if
about
you're
it.
smart about it, it doesn't. Yeah, that's definitely true.
Next time we meet, you want to meet in Puerto Rico instead?
Sure, man. Why not?
Yeah, like,
And we could get a cheap ticket. I mean, I've seen all the cheap tickets.
it's a lot
actually.
cheaper. It's a lot cheaper. in
Also,
Puerto
like
Rico.
one big thing about flights, if anyone's listening, fly on the most flexible times, dude. If you fly flexible, you're flying so cheap, dude. Like it's ridiculous. Like who the hell goes to Hawaii in the winter? Right? Like it's the summer, right? Like I always think of like that's like a summer thing, right? No, just go in the winter. It's so much cheaper. And it's still warm in the winter, you know.
Yeah.
A big thing I noticed is the September things tend to be cheaper, probably because kids go to like college people start going to school.
Definitely
and stuff.
during the holiday season, like from Christmas, New Year's, everything gets stupid
Oh
expensive.
my god, that's like unless you're going like the middle of buttfuck nowhere, like
Yeah.
maybe even then, like people have families, so it's just everything becomes so much more expensive in holidays.
I was doing research about it. Third world countries. That's where the game's at.
Really?
Because what we don't realize, we live in a first world country.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
Like Puerto Rico, like we have 3 guys, $500 a pop for a weekend. That's a fun weekend.
it's very cheap as well. I mean, I'll be honest, it's not even like Puerto Rico. It's like anything that's not the U.S.
Yeah.
I mean,
Anywhere
know-
that's not a first world country.
yeah. I mean,
I went to London and it was just expensive,
Oh, it was
if not
expensive?
more, as New York.
oh wow.
Yeah, it was pretty much the same price point.
I was looking into Spain, Portugal, Belgium
Mhm.
recently. Those have been some pretty interesting countries, just to name a few. I mean,
Before I die, I do want to backpack around Europe, Asia. Just walk
yeah,
around
of course,
everywhere.
I want Switzerland. I want to do in Switzerland. Switzerland is beautiful. Beautiful country.
Norway.
Norway's
hiking.
another. I actually want to live in Norway, like in Oslo, for like a month or something,
Really?
just to try it out. Because Norway's like, I don't know, something about Scandinavia has always been like, no, I don't know. So I just like Scandinavia for some reason. It's always been interesting. Iceland. I'd
Mhm.
definitely go to Iceland sometime.
I want to fight a kangaroo in Australia.
Yeah, good luck with that. Australia that's a whole nother story. Australia is crazy, from what I've heard.
That's why I want
Dude,
to
they
go.
have spiders the size of my head, and they come in like
It's
groups.
fucking sick, right?
It's crazy. Yeah, it's sick, dude. It's ridiculous. They have. Oh my god, man.
Oh yeah, definitely pack a machete with too.
Dude, that's like the bare minimum.
I
That's
was-
what they should do. Like you get off the
I was-
plane off of like Australia, they
That's
hand the
like
machete to each guy as they're leaving.
Oh, that's how
That's
they
a good idea.
That's how I think about Americans. Like when you buy a whiskey, they just automatically give you a 6 revolver. I was talking to this Australian girl at a bar one day, and she was telling me like, I think like 3 people every year die from kangaroos.
Damn.
And
I mean, I heard a lot of people die from sharks
I was-
over here.
I was watching a kangaroo fights. These are some brolic motherfuckers.
Kangaroos are brolic as hell.
They're like 6 feet tall, like years of hard
Yep.
muscle. Especially the alpha. I'm not gonna lie. I looked at him like, damn, that's what I want to be.
Bro, kangaroos are crazy, man. I mean, Australia just has like animals you've never heard of before.
That's why it's so awesome. It's like Africa too.
Africa too. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
always wanted to ride an elephant, like one of those old kings.
elephants are cool. Elephants are really cool. Damn, I didn't think of that. I could do it. I could ride an elephant.
Like the thing is, like, I've talked to this. I was talking to this girl at London at a bar, and we were just talking about it casually. She's like, "Yeah, what I realized, like, the more you travel, the more happy you become. And also, you realize like you don't need to be rich to travel.
Yes,
And
I
to
agree.
and to say like to wait till your 60s or 70s and retire and travel, by then you won't have the energy to travel, and it just wouldn't make sense. You have the money and the time, but you just won't have the energy.
I agree. You know, there's a thing that Alex Hormozy said. I follow him a lot. He's amazing. He mentions that like, yeah, like, you know, live frugally, blah blah blah, do all that stuff. You know, don't blast your money on stupid stuff. But like, don't be afraid to blast money. All right, not blast all your money, but like, don't be afraid to throw money at areas in your life that you won't be able to get back. So very unique things, right? For instance, traveling. Like I might not be able to go to country X or Y Z when I'm 60. Like yeah, I'll have the money, but as you mentioned, I'm 60, dude. Like what am I gonna do? I'm gonna hike. I mean, hell, there's a lot of 60-year-olds that could.
Oh, you won't be. Because you take care of yourself body now, but
Yeah,
majority, we're talking about in general.
But even then, like it's like me, 21 years old, is still like more capable of hiking longer distances than a 60-year-old.
Oh
could.
fuck yeah.
Yeah, like even if I'm really fit on 60, I mean, it's like if I train, it's
You're gonna feel it the day after.
Exactly, and not
it's
even that,
suck.
just things just in general that you do. You probably there's a certain things that you'll do when you're 20, and certain things that you won't do when you're 60. You know, so that's why go here.
Go to a strip club. Blow $300 on a random. Just fucking go to.
Go to a country when you're 21. Go to a country when you're 21, right? And then come back to it when you're 60. There's two whole different experiences now. There's two whole different experiences.
That is true. I didn't even think about that.
I just thought of that right now. It's two entire different experiences. You come back to a country from 20, even when you're 30, like 10 years is a lot of development.
Yeah.
You come back, you have a whole different perspective in that country, and you just different. And hell, maybe in those years you learned their language. Like for instance, right now I'm learning Spanish a little bit. Like in 10 years, I'll probably be much better than I am today, and it'll be a whole different experience.
In San Juan, Puerto Rico, you don't need to learn Spanish. That's what people tell me.
Really?
They cater to tourists, so.
But like that's not like the culture anymore, though. You know.
I know it's not, but.
I mean, if you go there for the beaches and stuff, then why not? But like, if you want to learn the culture and stuff, you wanna learn about the people and stuff, then
oh yeah, we definitely
don't go to the tourist areas.
Yeah, definitely. Like definitely, just that's why I want a backpack, rent a car, go out for a month, not just like a week or a weekend.
Yeah, Europe's definitely a place where that's more laxed. If you do backpacking in the U.S., you're kind of seen as like a weird, at least from what I've heard.
Because
like,
you are.
Yeah, but like it's like in Europe. More people do it normally as like a hobby. My dad when he was younger, I mean, given it was when he was younger, but like he would take a motorcycle to Switzerland. Like he would just drive, he would just fuck around, camp in the middle of nowhere forest, right?
That's pretty chill.
Yeah, and it's like you were never like yelled at for camping in some dude's private property. It's like no, like I mean, of course you're not gonna camp in some guy's backyard, but it's like some dude owns 40 acres of forest. It's like in Europe you can just. I don't know. I don't know if the rules changed, but you just camp in just a random part of the like. It's not like he's leaving trash or anything, you know.
I was thinking more Asia for me.
I mean Asia too. I think they're also more lax about it than
for me at
the
least.
U.S.
It's just because the racism gets annoying.
The U.S.
In London, at least in the U.K.
London too. You felt it?
Yeah, bro. It just got annoying. At one point, I'm like
That's interesting. I didn't know that in
I wanted
London.
to stop my trip a little bit earlier just because of that.
Really?
Yeah, it's subtle, but it's annoying.
What the hell?
Because I didn't realize like New York City. I really appreciate the diversity of New York City after that.
It's interesting because like I would expect London also have diversity, no?
Not to the point of New York.
Yeah, I mean.
So
yeah,
for you, it's fine, but for me, it's annoying.
That's interesting.
You know what I'm saying? Like when I went to Buffalo, it was more prominent.
Interesting.
Like people straight up came to my face and gave me shit.
That's insane.
And this is before COVID came to America.
Oh God.
And
I
after
can't
COVID to
imagine
America,
now.
it became a lot worse. But before COVID came to America, they were giving me shit for the way
Damn,
I
I didn't even know that's still a thing that people are dealing with in London, especially.
I mean,
I
everywhere.
understand everywhere, but like London, like I don't know. I just thought that London. I don't. I've never been. To the UK.
I wrote a paper about this actually. It's interesting. It's not because they hate any particular race. It's because they hate themselves.
Oh,
It's all just projection.
most of the time, any negative thing is projection.
That's what I
from what
realized.
I've been reading, and I do agree with that definitely.
Yeah, so it's just that you're an easy target, and
Yeah.
it's easy to point the black sheep and make fun of it, and there's some white sheep.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I definitely agree with that. To get on to like another point where a lot of like negative, like a lot of times when people snap or just whatever, people are like thinking negatively or just doing things like that. It's a lot of the time just projection, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Like it's not even like it's really like I forgot where I forgot what book I got it from or what psychologist. But regardless, it's projection. Like it's really like you hate usually. Like for example, if I hate how fast you talk, I just hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's because I talk really fast.
Yeah.
Like it could be that, or maybe it's because I talk too slow and I can't talk as fast as you could, right?
It's the way you see yourself that you don't like, but you're like,
Yeah.
but you disassociate me from you just because I
Yeah.
look different.
I don't like the speed of you talking doesn't piss me off because I don't care about how fast I talk, right? Like I don't care about this type of things, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's also like, to put like probably a really easy
It's
example.
also ego as well.
Yeah, I'm ego as a player in anything, honestly. But like to give a very simple example, a lot of people hate rich people, for example. Like that seems to be like a common thing.
Yeah, I
that
don't
see
know why
often.
that is.
Right. It's I feel like it's if you care about money so much, you might be projecting that if you hate someone that's much more wealthier than you might just hate them because, well, you care about money so much that like this guy has more, but he's not doing anything. Like, how is he getting this? He's just scratching his ass at home, not making more money than me. It's like, it's if you put that much emphasis, like you dedicate your whole life to making money, and then this guy makes more money than you. It's that might be why the people might hate the.
Unless they're
older people.
pretentious, that's a different story.
Yeah, that's a different story. But I do think that
When rich
projection's a big thing.
Rich people, they do get a level of entitlement and pretentiousness, and it does get annoying.
Don't get me wrong. There's always gonna be good and bad
So
people.
that's the
in
thing
any
about
sphere of
money.
life.
Have you heard of the Stanford prison experiment?
That sounds very familiar.
It's
If you explain it, I might have heard of it.
they took a group of 12 college kids from the suburbs, split it half and half, six as prisoners, 6 as prison
Yes,
guards.
I heard of this.
Yeah.
I heard of this then.
So more of the story is when people get a level of power and authority, they will tend to abuse their power and authority.
Yes.
It just becomes human nature, right? You can even use that for World War II, why the Nazis treated the Jews a certain way,
Yeah.
right? Or even in a lot of people don't know it's Unit 731, when the Japanese took over China and they started making experiments on Chinese and whatever Allied powers prisoners they can get. They just abuse the shit out of their power, and it's normal. At one point, at today's time, the easiest way to get power is through money, right? When you have the level of money, you have power. You can start doing things.
I feel like if you build a big following, that's powerful.
That as well.
Because I feel like just having a big following
Mhm.
brings money in. People, it gets to the point where like if people love you so much, they just want to throw money at you. At that point, like,
Exactly.
oh, this guy has like a nice shirt that he's selling now. Yo,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna buy it.
But
Come on, it's him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like having a big
Mm-hmm.
following is huge in terms of power. I mean, just think of Elon Musk, right? Like when he bought Twitter, you think anyone would have been, if he was like some random dude no one knew but just had the money, would people be on board with him buying it? Like, who is this guy? Blah blah blah. Like now people know him. A lot of people still disagree, but
Let's say if
having
he
a big
was
following
some Dubai trillionaire.
that nobody knows of. Yeah, that's
he
actually
still-
why a lot of times like when Saudi oil princes or something do something, like they sometimes get crap for it, especially in America. Like it's because no one knows who he is. You know what I mean? Not many people talk about him. Or at least from my experience, I
Now the
don't
question
think.
becomes, or the point I was getting to, is when you have that level of power and money, do we become that level of heinousness when we only care about people for what their utilization is? For example, I was watching this video about this guy talking about his experience at a luxury hotel, right? And the way these people are, so his clients are Russian oligarchs, multi-billionaires, celebrities. He has top tier, high-end clients, and they would, in the moment where you're talking to them, they only want you to focus on them. If you focus on anything else, you're done. And they would treat the people like, how do I say this? Not the people, the staff, like less than human, right? For example, there was this, obviously whoever works in the front desk, they tend to be more attractive, right? It's a visual position. You tend to be more attractive. You tend to speak better English, right? It's just how the game is. It is what
Yeah.
it is. So there was this very busty woman, and this guy, he approached this woman. He's like, hey, look, I'll pay you X amount of money for you to come to my hotel room and sleep with me, right? And at the time, the manager was there, so she respectfully declined. But later on, what they discovered on security camera, 3 a.m. in the morning, she was leaving his hotel room.
So what are you trying to get at?
They just don't care, bro. Like, dude, in the hood, that's that's straight up prostitution. You just they don't see you as a person.
Yeah,
Like, it's like if I give you money, hey, look, Patrick, I'll pay you. Like, pay you to beat that guy up. I'll give you like 100K to beat that guy up.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You know what I
they're
mean?
just kind of tossing money at you just to get things done. They don't really think about you. They just want something done. Give
You
that
become
money.
subservient to them, and they only care about that.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the corrupting parts of power, like having high power. I feel
Mhm.
like.
We all like to say we don't want to be at that level, but the question becomes, you and we're not at that level.
I mean,
yet.
everyone will face it. Like if people get wealthy, and people start getting more power, they will ultimately face that. Now, will they succumb to it? You know, that's up to the person
That's
and
a
the character.
I believe most people will.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's
I can't at
like
this
you mentioned, like, human
at this point in
nature,
my life.
it
I
could be
can't argue
corrupting.
that one way or the other. Like at this point, based on the things I read, it's only one way. I can't say I'm better than these people. Like, hey, look, I will get there, and I won't be like that because I've seen how the way these people operate, and it makes logical sense if you go to their shoes.
Yeah.
Right. If you have that money and power, why would you waste time on someone who's just a young, ambitious man who's just starting up?
Yeah, I mean, there's also a lot of leaders that are humble though,
Yeah,
and actually, those are the leaders that you usually don't hear about.
which is
think about
sad. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the people who actually don't usually have a voice, which is
Mhm.
actually interesting. Or maybe they do have a voice, right?
I
but
think
they're
they're a
not
minority.
as known, right?
They don't need to be known because they don't need it for their ego. Most
Yeah.
people I worked for have that ego. They obtain that level of money and status, but then their egos take over. I still to this day haven't met one person who is at that caliber who actually, wants to give back to the next generation, the future generation.
Yeah.
Where what we're all supposed to look to. I literally had a broker talk about how we should cater to next generation people. He was looking at me, he's like, especially his generation, pointing at me. 20 minutes later, he and I were having a private conversation, and he was like, I would never listen to a 20-something-year-old advice in my entire life. I'm 40 years old. Why the fuck should I give a shit?
Yeah, a lot of yeah. I think my biggest pet peeve is arrogance, which is funny because that's something I've dealt with a lot when I was younger. So that's the projection part.
Yeah, he gave me shit for being arrogant, too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of times people do sound arrogant and they don't intend to. I think I'm definitely a big thing of that too. Like I sometimes do sound arrogant, and
It's your pride.
yeah. I mean, don't get, what I'm trying to get at is like, because we mentioned we talked about this last time, like with like how you see arrogant and how I see confidence. Like what I mean is arrogance to the point where it's like too much. Like to the point where it's just like who the fuck are you to tell me that this or that? Like some like
Mhm.
I definitely see that. Arrogance is something that I think does. I mean, I feel like everybody who even faces any form of success might have to deal with.
Will.
Yeah, I mean,
Will.
will deal with pride. I think it's important to be proud of yourself, but I don't think, it's important to be proud of yourself and not to be too little.
Mhm.
Like proud, but I think it's very important that you actually are
Be
not like you
confident in
you are
yourself.
basically in a little interval. Like you're not at 0, but you're also not at 100.
Be confident in yourself to know that you're the shit, but be humble enough to know that you can be replaced.
Yeah.
I
That's
believe
the easiest way I could
I
put
believe
it.
that's the saying. I obviously. took
Well,
my
if
own
it's
spin.
not, then it is now.
It's something similar. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
From
So
Shang 2023.
yeah, so I definitely agree with that. It's important to be humble, very important. But it's also important to be proud of yourself and not.
Yeah, be
Ask
proud of where
yourself.
you come from. Be
Yeah.
proud of the work you put in to get to where you are.
Yeah.
For example, like the amount of weight you move now, right? The amount of I'll be frank with you. We got to work out before I go. I'm trying to hit 1,000 pounds. At bare minimum, a 2-plate bench.
Total, not a 1,000-pound bench.
That'd be
yet,
fucking awesome.
But
I'm 155. I fucking I was
155 1,000-pound total is pretty good.
I was looking
That's
up
not
like
bad.
the weight. I was looking at my weight class. Like, holy shit, I move a lot of weight from my weight
That's
class.
good.
But yeah, I want to like one day we gotta sit down. Like, well, we're gonna hit the gym, shitload of pre-workout, trying to go for that.
I've been pretty chill on my caffeine lately.
Mm-hmm.
I've been pretty down, so I'll take a non-stim pre-workout. There you
Yeah,
go.
I mean, I just recovered from pulling my back. I was
Oh,
pulling
God.
135s
I hate that.
for sets.
Dude, there was a point in my life where I was pulling my back every week. Oh
Yeah.
man, that was when I first started off. It was like, I don't want to say I didn't have proper guidance. I mean, I kind of didn't, because I was kind of like doing it all on my own. I did do a lot of research and stuff, but dude, I don't know why. I just hated warming up. I never followed warm ups.
It's your ego, bro.
Maybe
It is.
I don't even know if it is. I just got bored. I just didn't want to warm up. But
It's
then
your ego.
maybe I didn't do.
That's you. Were,
it
I
could
was
be.
ego lifting. That's how it is.
The thing is, I don't even think I was ego lifting though. Like there was a point where I was, but that wasn't when I pulled my back.
Fair
It
enough.
was like maybe a year after. Hell, I still sometimes do. Like it's just, I always know where it is too. It's like right above my pelvis.
Yep. Right.
right-
There.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's. I literally even went like out of my way to like research what muscle group it is. You have like these 4 strands that go down your lats around your spinal erectors, maybe they are your spinal erectors. I really don't know. I'm
What
not
are they
a doctor.
called? Do you remember?
Oh shit, I can tell you. I don't know. I don't know those names. Those things are like 50 letters long. Like I don't remember any of the terminology. All I know is it connects to the top part of the pelvis, and that is exactly where I always pull it.
I think it's most people.
In
that
my
go back,
gym,
yeah.
in my gym, actually the platforms aren't even. So the one that I always deadlift
The squat
on,
platforms, right?
yeah. So the one I always deadlift on. Sorry, the gym that you know which one I'm talking about. The one we went to. Yeah.
The
So
one on 86th Street.
yeah, I go to a 72nd one now because they just opened that recently. It's so much nicer and it's empty. It's beautiful.
It was
Beautiful.
too much walking. It's a little annoying.
For me, it's easier because I take the bus anyways. Bus to
Okay.
train, and it's 2 stops
It's
hard.
a sauna for me. I need that.
Yeah, that's weird. This is the first harbor location that doesn't have a sauna, which is interesting.
Well,
Maybe they'll add it eventually.
They most of them don't have it. No.
I thought all the big locations have them. I don't know.
Does
I
the
don't
one
know.
at Park Slope have it?
Yeah.
Really? I'm gonna stop by there.
It's a nice one too. I actually really like that. But yeah, so the what's it called? The platform I was talking about, it's always slanted. It's not even.
Mhm.
So I always pull the same exact part. I don't remember if it was my left or the right because I haven't trained there specifically in a
Mhm.
while. But it was one of my parts, and I'm telling you, sometimes I'd have it a little higher. Usually it's like right down here. Oh my
I know,
god.
Yeah, and fuck,
Right
I was
above the
out for a
pelvis.
week. Dude, like,
Really? It was that
yeah.
bad?
Yeah, I was ego lifting. I was a little mad at myself for not working out. Well, I couldn't work out because of circumstance, but I was still mad at myself regardless. And I was ego lifting down pre-workout. Like today, I just got back to the gym, and I ran 6 miles. I
That's nice.
usually never run this much.
I think I'm gonna be doing cardio when I come back. I mean, I kind of have to. I took a big
Train
hiatus.
for the marathon.
Nice.
I was the marathon's on November. I was going to plan to do that before I decided to join the Air Force. Train for it. November.
I
There's
consider it.
and there's also like to order to qualify for the marathon without paying money. Well, besides the entrance fee, you have to do like half marathons, like 5Ks, 10Ks, 15Ks before you get to the marathon.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you can do that. If
That's something to
yeah.
consider. Like I just do general walking to get my joints back in place, just so I could, because I want to get back into powerlifting soon. I took a big hiatus from powerlifting. I've just been doing bodybuilding, and because I had a hip injury, which
Mhm.
I've been told by my doctors, don't worry about it, it's all good. Took an X-ray, all good. But here's the thing, like the doctor only treats your symptoms. Unfortunately, they don't tell you the root cause.
That's the Western form of medicine.
Yeah. How did I fix my glute? How did I fix my hip? How did it get better?
I remember you told me you worked out the muscles
I
surrounded.
started working
blood
my
flow.
glutes. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not even the blood flow. My glutes were just too weak. I started training my glutes, doing a lot of hip thrust. Like twice a week I did leg day, both days, hip thrust, and everything that activates the glutes pretty much. All the exercises that I did activated the glutes.
How long you been training for again? Like.
It depends. So it depends
Since
what you're
wrestling.
asking.
Like since you
Okay,
started like wrestling.
Overall fitness, I was in wrestling team in high school junior year, so
Junior.
11th grade.
11th grade, so
Yeah, since then I've been actively looking at studying my diet and my and fitness. That's when I started actually caring about fitness because before that actually I was 220 and I was obese on the BMI scale in what's it called when I don't know how old were we in junior high school? Whatever, in junior high school.
16,
17, yeah, I was obese. I was like 220. For reference, I'm 180 now, so I'm 40 less. I actually cut down from 220 all the way down to 145.
145.
Yeah, I was 145. 2020? Was
How
that COVID? That was.
How long did it take you to get to 220 to 145?
Okay, so 220 to 180 was one season of wrestling actually.
That's a year, right?
Yeah, it might have been 215, but I really can't remember.
Big difference.
Yeah, it was all water weight, by the way. Like it was all water weight. Went to wrestling, had vomited the first week because of how intense it is. I'm very thankful for how rigorous the training was. I'm so happy that I was pushed so hard. Yeah, it was amazing. I really did it for the health benefit, but I ended up liking the sport a lot too. So
Yeah.
I went down to 180. Then I went down to 170 throughout that year. I've just been like slowly. I haven't really been aggressively pushing to losing weight at that point because I was pretty happy with my body. But I was still like slowly.
It's a gain.
Yeah,
It's
I was
still a positive
slowly
gain.
eating very little, like a little. I was slowly eating less. So down to 170, and then I was like, all right, let's see how far I could take this. So I tried keto. Surprisingly, actually, I have nothing bad to say about it. A lot of people give it crap. I think keto has its own good, like, pros and cons. But keto's pretty cool for me. It was the reason why I like keto is because it made me so aware of my diet. Everything I put in my body, I was tracking and I was looking at, and that actually helped me so much with actually getting better with thinking of my diet and stuff. So I actually had to constantly make sure I don't eat too many carbohydrates because that's kind of the point of the keto diet. So, and I need to eat fat from my food. And actually, that time I was so sensitive to like any changes. So if I had, for example, too little fat, I could definitely feel it. I eat fat, I feel a lot better. I have brain fog. I eat more fat, I feel a lot better. And it really let me like kind of realize like how important diet is. So then, as I went there, I went down to like 160 ish. So I remember this too. In August, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to do like a challenge. I'm going to run 10 miles a day. I'm going to do, I don't even remember. I think in 1 month, I wanted to do like 15,000 push-ups or something like that. Long story short, I didn't get it, but
The process in itself.
yeah, I did end up hitting a bit. Like I started realizing like how much 15,000 push-ups is. Basically, I think the math was like I had to do like 300 a day for every few hours. I don't remember, but it was a lot. Like, I mean, think
Yeah.
about it, right? Like 15,000 divided by 30, like, it's how many days I had. But I still think I like did a really good job with that. I did get the mile goal though. The goal was 300 miles in a month. I ended up getting, I think, 310 actually.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So at the end of that,
It's like what, 2 runs a day?
yeah, depends. Yeah, no, it was 1 run a day.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so it's 5 miles from my house to the Verrazano, and then 5 miles from Verrazano back. Yeah, I went through.
I know what you
I
mean.
never know what that area is called. It's right underneath the Verrazano, that place where a lot of people jog. I don't know what it's called.
The Bell Parkway.
I guess, yeah, the Bell Park.
That's the
Yeah,
Bell Parkway.
it goes to Owl's Head Park. Yeah, so I jogged down that back and then back home. However, some days I wasn't able to run because let's say I was in New Jersey helping out my dad or something, right? So I would do 20 miles in a day, 10 in the morning, 10 at night. Those were insane, but they weren't runs. They were just jogs, average like an hour and something. But one thing I am going to say is that is what made me lose all my weight. I went to 145. I was eating, but probably not sufficient. I was hydrating. All
Probably
that
has
stuff.
a deficit. And you
I was definitely on a deficit. Yeah.
Deficit, high burning.
Yeah, so 145 is what I hit, which is like I think in that body shape it was optimal for running. Actually, I felt really light when I was running. It was so nice to run. However, I started feeling lethargic. I started feeling really iffy. I mean, for reference, I'm like 5'11" or something, somewhere around there. I really don't know.
But
my height
that's
anymore.
skinny for your height.
Yeah, 145 for 5'11" is not. It's very, very little. So I started my bulk that time. And then, so this was August. That following January, I think I hit 175. So the first, from 145 to 155, it was so easy to gain weight because I was already at a deficit. From then, I have really had to push to how much I ate. But I went to 175, and holy crap, I looked amazing. From then,
I think 175 is optimal for your height, if I remember correctly.
yes. In terms of, I mean, it depends who you ask and what scale you look at. 175 on the BMI, I believe.
I'm also thinking about like lean body mass.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but like right now, for instance, like for the past year and a half, I've just been bulking nonstop. I've just been eating a lot. I mean, bulking is like a strong term. What I mean is like I'm not like feeding myself, not force feeding. I'm just eating at a surplus. I was doing it dirty for a bit. I felt so horrible. My mental state was terrible, so I kind of switched to more.
I have a saying: dirty bulking is probably the most disrespectful thing you can do to yourself.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I do think. Okay, I'm not gonna say everyone should try it, but me trying it did give me a new perspective on things. Right? Like I realized again, it reminded me how important diet is. My whole mental state was horrible. I always had brain fog, couldn't think, whatever. So eventually I switched to a more healthier diet, and that's what I'm on right now. It's been amazing. Like, I just eat as much as I want, and it's all healthy.
Yeah, you just eat clean.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, the days where I eat too much are the days where I can't think as much because I don't know, I get sleepy, tired. I don't know, I don't know the explanation, but I do get extremely tired, and I struggle to think.
I can see what you mean.
Also, the days where I train really hard are the days I cannot think that well. And a lot of the things I do are cognitively demanding.
Yeah.
There's a programming, so I tend to leave my more tedious work and not cognitively cognitively demanding work for my I leave that type of work for my off days or my very light days. As for my maxing days or whatever, like difficult days, I leave the non-demanding stuff for my difficult days, but the rest days and the the not like difficult days are the days I leave my heavy work for.
But you see how over that time and process you develop a deeper understanding of your body.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. That was the point I'm making. Like throughout your entire time of training, you develop a better understanding of yourself, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I feel like that's the unique thing about fitness. Everyone's journey is unique.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I did this will work for you.
Mhm.
No, your body's way different.
That's the beauty of fitness, actually. It's also I like to tell people fitness is the easiest way to get into entrepreneurship as well.
Yeah, I also think it's a perfect way of learning more about yourself and even getting closer with yourself.
That's what it is. It's just
Yeah.
also the level of consistency, the discipline, the focus that you need. The lessons that you learn from fitness are a one-to-one correlation with entrepreneurship.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, like it's really just like you have a goal, you want to attain it.
How are you
and-
gonna get it?
Yeah, how are you gonna get it? And it's just through fitness. It's the easiest thing to like tap into your human nature. If that makes sense. It's very easy to get into. It's like, oh, how am I gonna work out? Just work out. Like it's like you don't need to explain to somebody what it means to work out because they know. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll just jog.
Even if you suck at
Start
it,
with jogging.
if you suck at it, it's always
If
you always
you're
learn.
tired and you're sore, and if you feel like you had a good workout, you had a good workout. And of course, soreness doesn't always measure how you work out, but I don't want to get into the science of it. What I'm saying is, if you're tired after doing something, that's a workout. So, get up and get out there.
Yeah, after working out with you, every time I work out with Patrick, ladies and gentlemen, Patrick is one of those people who are like a walking paradox, like a super jacked nerd.
What's funny? That's what I'm going for. That's what I'm going for.
That's how I picture you. When I think of Patrick,
I love contradictions. I find those things the funniest thing.
fucking beautiful.
To be like a big nerd is the funniest thing ever. In my
yeah,
opinion.
it's like the ultimate. Like that's just the ultimate thing that it can be in society. Honestly, I appreciate that. It's not a lot of people who are like smart, buff nerds.
Yeah, it's very like little. I mean, I don't want to.
Well,
Maybe
think
the
about
body dysmorphia is coming in. I'm not saying I'm
That-
really buff, but like, I do think that a lot of people that I know actually are programmers who do train. It's pretty funny.
But that's pretty cool. Like
I love it. I love it.
yeah.
I don't know. There's something about it. You know what it is? Being one cool thing about programmers who like take training very seriously is to be more niche about it. Powerlifting programmers, like it's so
powerlifting
niche. There's so
comp size
few.
man.
Like there's so few people that like I've at least met that do it. That it's like when you meet another programmer that trains powerlifting, it's like.
You instant respect.
Yeah, it's just like I'm already friends with you. Like I'm already close with you. You know what I mean?
It
It's
was-
like because it's so niche. It's like we already get each other. We deal with the same bullshit together. We do, all that stuff. I don't even have to explain to you. It's just so niche that it's like
They get it.
it's amazing. I love it.
It's
Yeah.
the same thing in real estate. Like whenever I would talk to people who don't train, I'll tell them about how I train. I used to when I was working, I used to wake up at 4:30, go to bed at 8:30, 8 o'clock, eat super clean, eat 5 meals a day, try to hit my 3K calories. And I was just telling people who weren't working out, and they look at me like, "Are you fucking crazy? What the fuck is wrong with you?" And then, but when I talk to people who actually work out, they understand. There's that unspoken understanding because they're doing the same things that you are
Yeah.
doing. Like when you really work out, you're really within the top 20% of the human race. Think about that.
That's interesting.
Fucking top 20% just by working out. I didn't realize this. Once I understood that, like when you go outside during the summertime when people aren't wearing super bulky jackets, and just look at how physically fit people are. Most people aren't physically fit.
Yeah, I can say that for America. Yeah,
In general.
America's always dealt with the issue.
America has a thing of being tend to be overweight,
Yeah.
but in Europe it's more like skinny, like too skinny.
Yeah, I do agree. I think Asia as well.
Yeah.
So the thing about America is like, dude, they pump sugar in everything that you go. Like from what I've heard, like I mean that's why all these like non-American countries make fun of America. The first thing they make fun of is their obesity and all the sugar and
Because
stuff.
it's true.
Because it is true. America really does load their stuff with
If
sugar.
you want to look at it, it's like kind of like how like you and I work. Like the way your body is, it's more of a Western body. Like you came from being overweight now to fit. I came from being underweight to being fit. Like, but when I started, I was, I think 135.
I think underweight to be fit's harder.
It's physically harder, but it's mentally
That's
easier.
the way I always seen it. Yeah, exactly.
But for you being overweight to being
no,
fit,
I think it's the other way. I think with overweight, actually.
no, it's
Yeah, you're right. No,
it's
no,
physically
that's the way.
harder. It's physically harder for me, but mentally easier for me. But it's mentally harder for you, but physically easier for
Yes,
you.
I agree. Yeah.
Well, the saying is that it's easier to tear down a building as opposed to build it back up.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I don't feel like it still takes me time to eat 3,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
For those, I'm 5'7", I'm 155 as of right now. But that I gained 20 pounds in the past year because I was eating 3,000 calories clean every single day. It got to the point where I have to force myself to eat meals. Like I do not want to eat this fucking rice. I was eating nothing but rice, chicken breast, and broccoli.
That's the usual, man.
4 meals a day for
The bodybuilding
for 8
diet.
months. 8 months straight. I wanted to kill myself.
I went through that too.
Yeah, like I had McDonald's for the first time.
I did it through keto, so I didn't even have rice. What did I have? I had cauliflower rice.
Bro.
I made cauliflower rice. I got so tired of cauliflower rice.
It's cheat days. I had McDonald's for the first time in 8 months. I nutted in my mouth. I've given myself, like, you got to be kind to your body as well. You have to give yourself days to rest, days to cheat.
I agree.
Like you.
I wouldn't say McDonald's is being kind to your body, but I see what I know what you mean.
My
mentality,
mental state. My mental
yes.
state, that's the word.
I agree.
Like you can be super strict on everything, but you're not going to enjoy everything.
Yeah, it only gets unhealthy when you if that's your habit, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like to me, like when I have Mickey D's, I wouldn't like having Mickey D's for the first time in 8 months. It just
I
tastes
don't
a lot
know when's
better.
the last time I had it. Like I think I had it when I was maybe. When I was still obese. I genuinely don't.
Yeah, you don't think about these.
Maybe
things
fries I had, but like the
Yeah.
fries are like whatever. It's like the burger. I don't remember when's the last time I had any sort of. Actually, that's a lie. I did have fast food.
Bro, my
probably
cheat meals are
sometime.
disgusting. I would take ice cream and mix it with soda and dip my
Oh my
fries in it.
god.
I'm that guy, bro.
Oh man. I can't even imagine
Yeah,
that.
even when I was younger, I could never gain weight, even if I do all that stuff.
I mean, there is a thing too where your body actually doesn't even process it or something like that, and it just goes through. So there, you don't gain any weight from that. There's some
Probably.
science behind it, but yeah, there's some type of science that talks about
Yeah,
like.
but
But
when I
you have to
first
read
started, I
more
was
about it.
tracking everything to the fucking T. Like with MyFitnessPal, not
Yeah.
a sponsor yet. I would scan every single thing. I would work out the macros, portion out
Yeah.
everything properly, set my meals up for the week. I'm like, okay, I don't have to cook.
Metabolism's a big factor, you know.
Yeah.
If you metabolize things quickly, you know, and that's another thing, you know, dude, the body's so intricate. It's like exactly what you say, like, oh, I'm struggling to gain weight because I metabolize it so quickly. Oh, like maybe you have hypothyroidism. Like maybe your thyroid is too active. Maybe you don't have a specific vitamin. There's just so many things that, like, so many factors where it's like, it gives me more respect to the doctors, honestly, that understand your whole body.
Yeah.
Like it's insane, like how many factors that play into account for these kinds of things. One cool thing that I really love about fitness is that it's not just fitness. Like it's not just like, oh, like workout, like let's work out. No, like there's so many different branches too.
Yeah.
You know, like there's something that I don't think anybody could possibly hate it. Like,
No.
because it's like, okay, maybe you hate weightlifting. Like, maybe you hate Olympic weightlifting,
Then you
okay?
go to boxing.
Maybe you don't want to be too technical. You could do powerlifting. Okay, maybe you don't want to strain your joints, right? Or, like, you don't want to... You're not focused on strength training is what I'm trying to get at. You get into boxing. You get into Muay Thai. You get into any martial art, pretty much, which that alone is, like, millions of.
Yeah, gymnastics, yoga,
Hell, you do
biking.
gymnastics, yeah, yoga, like, even the lighter things, like... you also have CrossFit. Like, there's literally... there will
It's
always
hard
there will
to
be
not get into it.
if you don't like it, that is your excuse. Like that
Yeah.
at that point, you are making an excuse to not work out because there's so many ways of working out that you kind of there will be at least one that you will like.
It's mentality. That's what it is. It's
Yeah.
not about people not liking it because you release endorphins afterwards. And
Yeah,
you're
and
programmed
you-
to like
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Like,
That,
your
that's
body
another
is
thing.
programmed to like working out or like doing something physical. It's just like excuses in the self cage that you put yourself in.
Yeah, one thing that actually did help me, because of course everyone dealt maybe with, you know, oh, I go to the gym, oh, I don't feel like going, I don't feel like going. I think the thing that always helped me with discipline, this is literally like the one thing that I value in terms of like that about me that's helped me with discipline. I make a lot of excuses
We all
to
do.
do things.
Yeah, I
I
feel
make
that.
an excuse to do something. So, for example, here's the best example that I used to do. Okay, I'm gonna go see somebody, or like today, for example, I see or whatever. I go somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like I'm 15 minutes from the gym, but I'm 30 minutes from home, right? Or like the gym's on the way there. I might as well just go to the gym,
Yeah.
right? And just get a workout in, and then I'll go home. Like it only makes sense, right? Like
Mm.
it's right next to me, so I might as well do it. You know, the same reasons why some people might be like, "Oh, my home's right next to the gym. I might as well just go home. What's the point of going to the gym if it's further, right?" I kind of want to do the opposite, where, okay, like I'm already outside. The hardest part is leaving my house.
I like
I
that.
might as well just go to the gym. Like I might as well.
That's
you know
a good
what I
mind.
mean?
That's an interesting way to.
So
do
it is still
discipline.
excuses. It's just the opposite.
No, it's not. It's
You're
still
making excuses for the
spin.
other way. Yeah, you
You're
make a spin on
You're
it.
spinning on what your situation is.
Yeah, you make an excuse to actually go out to do something. Like,
Mhm.
okay, oh, you know what? Like, this website's already open. I might as well just go learn some Spanish, right?
Might
Like,
as
I mean,
well.
Duolingo's on. I accidentally turned it on. Shit, I might as well just learn some Spanish for
Yeah.
now. You know what I mean? It's already on. Like, what else am I gonna do? You know?
That's interesting. I use my ego to work on discipline.
Interesting. What do you
That-
mean by that?
So whenever I will wake up at 4:30 in the morning, I hate it. No one likes waking up that early.
Yeah.
The way I think about it is like, okay, how am I going to get better than everybody around me? I have to be up earlier than them. So the way I think to myself, by the time I come back, I'll go to 4:30, bike to the gym, weight lift for 2 hours, come back by 7 o'clock, and have my second breakfast. And by the time I'm having my second breakfast, most people are waking up.
You recognize the process.
Yeah.
Like, you recognize the means to actually improving, and
Mm-hmm.
you kind of shut off your brain and just do it.
Yeah, but the thing that propels me to do it in the initial stages is my ego. Now it's
Okay.
just become a habit.
Yeah.
Now it becomes I can't
I
stop
think that's
doing it.
that's the case. Like even Atomic Habits, like what they mentioned, like I think it was like after 30 days, it just becomes a habit, and
Yeah.
after 90, it becomes a lifestyle. I think that's what it was.
Oh, what 3 months? I think it's 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is. But
Regardless,
after a year, you just can't stop doing it.
yeah, exactly. It just becomes literally ingrained in your life.
Because I know for a fact this is gonna be with me for the rest of my life. Everybody who I'm around, I constantly push that. Eventually, I plan to cut people off who don't take discipline seriously.
I mean, you are your environment.
Yeah,
So
because
when you are hanging out with a lot of people who
I feel that.
are not doing the things that you want, it's not only that you feel that, you start to pick up on their habits.
Yeah, that's what I realized. Like when I was
Same thing with the other way around, by the way. When you hang out with people that are better than you,
yeah.
then you
When I was
also
in my
grow.
first brokerage, no one was closing any deals, and that was just the norm, right? When I was in my second brokerage, people were closing deals on a weekly basis, so that became my norm. And then I've spoken to people who were closing $1 million deals on a fucking like monthly basis, and I want to be a part of that club. And that's like for me to get to that level, I have to have a high level of connection, high level thing. But I know for a fact that if I get there, I'll pretty much get to exactly where I want to be, right? You're literally a byproduct of the environment. Like when I was in the hood, the mindset is different. It's hard for me to go to work every day because everybody's on unemployment. Everybody's drinking 8 a.m. on a Wednesday, right? I move out of the hood, still in Brooklyn, not like in the city, but I'm around better people with better mindsets. Even the gyms I switch, like I go to Blink. I started going to Blink, $20 a month. Most people there, I would say 80% of people there don't work out consistently to a point where they are fit peoples. They just go there, trying to get it off. 20% actually work out consistently. I prefer the 20%. Now I go to Harvard Fitness, triple the price, $65 a month.
Not sponsored, by the way.
Not sponsored yet. And everybody there is just super fit. And this is definitely the body dysmorphia and my ego kicking in, but that makes me want to go there more. At one point, I was starting to go twice a day. And I'm starting to go back to that. I'll run, and then I'll come back. I'll run and box, and I'll come back and do weightlifting.
You know, but like the price point, I think, is a big factor, right?
Yeah.
So you go to Planet Fitness, and of course, there are people who take their fitness seriously, and they just can't pay too much, so they go to Planet. I get that, but a big majority of people have a Planet Fitness subscription. At least this is just what I'm thinking. I feel like a lot of people who have the Planet Fitness subscription it's cheap, right? So like I could go to the gym, right? But here's the thing: they don't really have a lot of equipment that you use. So I feel like people who like really take it seriously would be willing to pay more.
Do you know
for a
how
more
Planet
better
Fitness does
thing.
their business?
Because they're willing to pay more, you're left with a whole group of people who are willing to pay more because they take it seriously. So now you have a huge group of people who take it seriously.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to go there. You're only building a better community. Wait, what did you mention earlier?
You know what the business model of Planet Fitness is?
Yeah, I heard this many times. It was like most people who pay for the subscription don't even go. And yeah,
They're betting against you. That's how they make them. That's how they make.
I mean,
their
hell, they
bread.
give you pizza every week, like or
They
every
do?
month. Yeah, that was the thing. I don't know if it was every week or every month, but they give you a pizza. Like there's like a shit ton of pizza pies, and everyone could eat it.
Holy
know?
shit!
Yeah, it's interesting. Hey man, free pizza, right? I mean, it's not really free because you're paying for a subscription, but
Jesus Christ!
comes with it.
Fucking Christ! The way I was thinking, conceptualizing it.
No, you got like shakes in most gyms, but no, these guys got pizza. So,
Yeah, fucking.
you know, maybe some candies. I think there was like a thing with candies at some point, but I don't know.
I wouldn't be
I don't
surprised.
know. I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
But also, when you pay more money, you're more invested.
yeah, that's
So
definitely a huge thing.
That's how it is. Like a way that I test if clients are pressured. I mean, test if clients are invested or serious or not. It's like, hey, look, if you put a security deposit down, no one else can get the application in. Oh, it's a real estate tip, by the way. If you put a security deposit down before, or a good face deposit down beforehand, I can ask the landlord to hold the apartment just for you while you get your application together before you even get approved. And that's how I test if they're actually serious about the apartment or not. If they don't, I'm like, okay, cool. Obviously, you're not interested. Let's look at more.
Yeah, because if they were interested, then they put down the deposit to
because
begin with.
in New York, the market is fucking crazy. Like I lost things within the hour. I've lost brand new apartments. I lost it in 1 hour.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just super competitive. There's just so many agents. It's also considered you only need a high school diploma to be a real estate agent.
Oh wow.
And the thing is, we don't have the best reputation. I actually started reading more about like how outsiders look at us, and it's never good. For the majority of the time.
Salesmen tend to get, a
Yeah,
pretty bad rep.
But also, like, now working in that industry, I understand why. There's not proper training. Everybody tells you there's training, right? But
Because they have to.
but in the reality of things, there's no training. Like, essentially, you're on your own. It's just how much you're
They
willing
just
to
tell
learn.
you stuff that you already knew.
Yeah,
pretty much, right?
some bigger companies are nice enough where they actually give you, like, we have a schedule of lectures or seminars that you can go to. You need to sign up for those. Those are nice, right? But to have like a proper mentorship, it's very difficult to find.
Oh, that sucks.
Unless
Mentorship is that's
Yeah.
a big.
That's why I'm leaving the industry. That's why I'm going to the Air Force. That's why I realized I need mentorship. Look, I understand. Like, this is how far I can get by myself. Like, everything I know, I've gotten by myself on my own. No mentorship whatsoever. But now I think to myself, what can I do if I have proper mentorship, right? People who actually want to see me succeed. I was talking to my Air Force recruiter the other day. He was teaching me how to write off G-Wagons through an LLC. It's like just like I'm just talking to him about business randomly. I'm like, this is what I've been working on. Also, for guys who don't know, Delaware is the best place to start LLC. 70% of Fortune 500 companies are based in Delaware. There is more registered companies in Delaware than there are registered people.
Wow.
There's no taxes. Well, it's not no taxes, but it's super low tax. No sales tax. Property taxes, they're cheap. And it's very business friendly.
Why am I living here? What the hell? Like, Delaware's not even too far either.
It's a 2-hour drive.
Yeah, they're like, what the hell?
2-hour drive, bro.
Like, what, bro?
Only issue is that it's boring as shit, but that's anywhere outside New York.
We can make it not boring.
Bada bing, bada boom.
That's it. Put in some more, I don't know. Put some stuff there. Put some people in there. Put some more money into their Delaware.
Oh, yeah.
Boom. Make it more fun.
I was reading about this guy, this kid in high school who actually made $20K a night doing clubs and concerts. I forgot his name, but he went to jail for scamming people. Like, he would literally just take, he would take. It wasn't a scam at first. It ended up being a scam.
How?
At first, he was just taking people, approaching his high school friends' families, like mothers, fathers, for money. Right? He would get the money. He would start a concert. He would charge everybody like $20 for cover fee just to get in. Right? He makes money that way. Right? Sometimes it sells out. Sometimes it doesn't. Right? It was a little bit of a weird start at first, but this guy's savvy. Right? So he figured things out. Eventually, it became successful. He was making 20 to 40K profit net.
Yeah.
Per concert, but then the money got to his head.
Oh no.
You know, so I remember he was telling me, so one day he went to Miami with his boys and he spent $100,000 on a night. It's fucking awesome. But besides the point, and then he eventually just started accumulating debt. Like the concerts weren't paying off. Like he would get rappers, like high class rappers, like pay for their hotel, everything, but the rappers would trash the hotel, and sometimes they wouldn't even show up.
Damn.
So he was losing money. So he was just getting more money to fund something that was losing profits. And eventually, I think he went to jail for, I forgot the proper
That's
term.
not fraud though, is it?
Technically, it is, because the way he spun it is he's like, give me money, I'll give you a return on it.
Oh, okay. That's
Right.
a different story.
Never happened. Straight up lie. I think he eventually got involved with the mafia, I believe.
Oh God.
Yeah, I think he was. He went to law for I think 1.3 million. No, I'm like somewhere like the low 1 millions.
That's fun.
But the moral of the story is that money is the game. Like it just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, you just gotta figure out how to attract it.
Yeah, I
Dude,
definitely do see that.
When I go to the Air Force, I'll tell you my plan. Right, I'm gonna within 90 days I qualify for the VA loan.
Okay.
And what my recruiter told me, God bless the Air Force, is that I can take all my closing costs, put it in the VA loan, so the VA loan will cover all that as well. So I'll just be paying pretty much rent.
Right.
No upfront closing
Rent
costs.
or tax?
Mortgage.
Right.
Mortgage, but I would call it. It's pretty much the same thing as rent,
Yeah.
right? For a property. And just like that, and eventually when I refi, I can convert that VA loan into a 30-year conventional, and then apply for another VA loan.
You apply for another one?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I didn't know that. I was sick, right?
That's insane.
And then you can I mean my plan originally was just buy a property on an FHA loan, convert it to then I didn't realize about converting, but now I do. Buy an FHA property, pull equity out of that, free to finance another property, just constantly do that. That's how I was going to build my portfolio. I'm going to do the same thing now, but with that beginning part makes life a lot easier.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I was talking to the Air Force people, like they were telling me on paper they don't make a lot of money. Like on paper they may make like $40,000 a year, but they own 2 properties in Vegas and bumfuck Texas.
I mean, dude, if you're rich on paper, then you're just gonna get taxed everything.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right? And
so
I don't think I can say this. Can I say this on the podcast? And they would do deals that would give them money off the books. That's what I can say.
I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so who doesn't these days?
Yeah, the people who say what they don't are lying.
I mean, dude, if you do everything on the books, it's like how it is.
Yeah. On that note, that's that episode.
On that note, pay your taxes.
Pay your taxes.
Pay your taxes, guys.
Don't defraud the government.
Yeah, make sure you guys report all your income. That's a very important thing.
So, but when we end, let's just say, if you were to give yourself a piece of advice to when you first started, what would you tell yourself?
Started what? Like,
let's say when you were 18 years old. Well, when you just graduate college and get into the workforce, what would you tell yourself?
That was a year ago, but I mean, I would tell myself, even from when I was younger, I would say take it slow. I think I tend to rush things quickly, and I also tend to bounce between things very quickly. Like, I want to learn this thing. Oh, no, I want to learn this. I want to learn this. So I learn something for a month. I learn another thing for a month. I'm jack of all trades, master of none.
But better than master one.
But better than master of one. But you get the point. I tend to bounce between a lot of things. It did help me. However, in the long term, if I keep bouncing, eventually I will achieve some sort of mastery in everything.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'll be good. But key term is long term, and it's a very long time. I feel like if I just focus on things one at a time, it would be much better. So yeah, take things slow. Like, it's like I would be 18, but I'm like doing things as if I'm gonna die tomorrow, right? Which of course, in certain things it's a good thing, but it's like.
Be patient.
Yeah, patient. It's weird because I do think I'm a patient person, but it's weird because it's like I work on a project.
Mm-hmm.
I do so much I get burnt out. I think burnout's always been my problem. So the thing is, I do so much in one day that I get burnt out, and the next day it's just like I stop losing that passion for what I wanted to do. Just just take it slow. Like I think that's the one piece of advice I would give. Just take it slow. If you gotta learn something, just fucking read like an hour, and that's it. You know, you don't have to work on it for 8 hours. I'd rather work on it for 2 hours a day for 4 days rather than 8 hours in one day and just forget about it. You know, so it also establishes consistency as well. Doing things 8 hours a day is very difficult to maintain to do it consistently, but if you can do it slowly, just an hour a day, you can end up doing it for the rest of your life, and you'll be just a master at it. So take it slow, definitely. I say take it slow.
Yeah. On that note, we'll see you next time.
Don, how long was that?
Like an hour and 20 minutes.
Shit, it's 8 o'clock.
Time flies. I'm surprised. But yeah, I definitely agree.
Oh my god, it sounds so different.
Yeah, that's a double-edged sword of ambition, and I felt that when I was working in real estate.
What, the burnout?
Yeah, bro. Like I was constantly working on building things.
I mean, shit. Like even like I still deal with it. Fuck, bro. I started learning Spanish on Duolingo 2 days ago. Dude, do you know how much experience I have on this shit right now? Like I'm gonna get burned out if I keep doing this shit.
You know what it is? I think it goes back to the team. We need teams.